Hey everyone, a very good evening and welcome to TFC Daily. It's very good to see every one of you here back today. Since last Thursday, to begin with, there's an initiative by the team at the Financial Coconut to keep you company during this tough time. So please follow us on our social, check out all the podcasts for your continued learning enjoyment. Simply head down to thefinancialcoconut.com for more details. We have different segments scheduled for you. Every Thursday will be our Finding Your Hedge segment where we focus on shaping your career. Career is a big part of our lives and things are changing fast. So we want to give you the latest happenings, practices to give you that edge to thrive in the career market. And I'm your host today, Adrian Tan. And today we are going to talk about staying employed, or rather staying employable. Staying employed today is not enough. You need to stay employable. Today's workplace is an unpredictable one. The changing world of work brings many opportunities for employees, but just as many challenges too. Job security is no longer a given, even if you have outstanding paper qualification. To thrive in this competitive global environment, you need to shift your mindset and go beyond what you're doing now. You need to increase and prove your value to your current employer and become an attractive and valuable asset that future employers may want to pursue. You need to become an MVP, or most valuable professional. And that is the theme that I'll be checking with my guest, Terrence Chiew, today. And before we begin, a quick intro for Terrence. He's a performance consultant and chief enabling officer at Peet Asia. He works with team leaders to build high-performance teams and achieve organizational success using multiple interventions comprising personality traits and value assessments, so on and so forth. Most importantly, he's a published author of the book, Most Valuable Professional: What Every Employee Ought to Know About Staying Employable, as well as the winner of Best Personal Brand Award 2017. And thank you very much, Terence, for making time today to share with us more about your thoughts, as well as the premise of your book. Good evening, Terence.
Hey, hi, good evening to you, Adrian. Thanks for having me here. Yeah,
most welcome.
Hi,
So
good evening.
let's jump in to understand firstly about what actually motivated you to write this book. What's the premise behind this book?
Wow, what motivated? In fact, I had the thought of writing a book over a decade ago. In fact, it is one of my bucket lists, so to speak. Yeah. But how this book came about, because I realized that there are many people, okay, I mean, especially working adults, they are working very hard, okay, to climb up the career ladder, even though, now we talk about career ladder, some of them no longer exist. But I realized that some people work really hard and then they have the qualifications, but yet they are not able to achieve their career goals. But there are some people who work very hard, okay, and they have done something extra, something that allows them to progress their career. Then they got noticed and they got their promotion even faster than their peers. And I thought, why not just put all this stuff that I know into a book, and then also based on my own personal training and career coaching experience, and my own personal or corporate working experience in the past. So the book, in fact, consists of all my personal experience and also what I observe, what I've researched, and put it up in a book. And the reason why I call it Most Valuable Professional, because I realized that human capital is an asset. All right, the human capital can increase, their human. I'm talking about human capital is an asset, okay, that they can actually appreciate, provided, okay, that's a disclaimer, provided, okay, this person is willing to consistently upgrade himself, upgrade the knowledge and the skills, right? So that's why I named the book called Most Valuable Professional. In fact, it's actually a play of the word MVP, which I got from sports, the MVP, Most Valuable Player, from basketball, from soccer, from other sports as well. Yeah. So
Well,
that
I'm sure your
actually,
readers
yeah.
definitely would be appreciated that you actually wrote a book based on just a small, based on a problem that you came across, and to really help them to expound onto this MVP thing. You mentioned earlier on, of course, there are people who put, both side of the coin, both of them putting in the efforts, but one, of course, reached somewhere, the other one did not exactly. So what are some of the clear differentiation based on what you observe between people who are MVP versus people who are not MVP, things that they are consistently doing, rightly or wrongly, that make them fall into different bucket?
Oh, in fact, okay. I mean, in this book, I just the 5 things I observe. I mean, I call it the 5 strategies, or they call it the DNA of an MVP. First thing I realized that these people, the group of people that do really well in their career, they have wonderful personality. Yeah. So when I mean wonderful personality, is they are very likable. Okay. They make a lot of friends, and people, they are the people magnet. They attract people to them. Yeah. So they have a great personality, and they don't make enemies. They make friends. Okay. They make a lot of work. So that's one thing I observe. And the thing here, the second thing that I observe is that these people, they are very good in adapting to changes, right? They have an open mindset. In fact, we call it a growth mindset. Okay, that they find that things, if things are not working well, they will stop whining. Okay, unlike some of the people, they will find solutions to it. And then you put them in another new environment, they will adapt very quickly. So that's the second thing I observe. And third thing I observe is that these people, they have established some form of authority in their own space. They are considered the go-to person, in their own field of work. And the fourth thing I observe is that these people, they are very visible everywhere, even at work, out of work, even in their own personal space as well. Yeah. And the last thing I observe is that they have portable skill sets. Yeah, they can move from one trade to another. They can move from one industry to another, using the experience and the skills that they have accumulated over years. So these are the 5 distinctive, I call it the things of MVP, or I call it the DNA of MVP. Yeah.
So let's dissect it down, since there's 5 different elements, and to help our audience better understand how can each of them pursue all these different elements and try to maximize as much as possible. The first one you mentioned is personality. Now, for personality, it seems to be something that you are either born with or you are not born with it. Is it something that people can train for? Is it something that people can actually learn and practice to create better so-called personality?
Well, that's a very good question, Adrian. I think there's a part in us that is that we are born. I mean, the nature part and also the nurture part. So, having said that, right, does it mean that we are not able to demonstrate some of the personality traits? But having to know who we are, I mean, at least we know that by looking at certain jobs, right, and interacting with people, how they communicate people, we are able to use that personality trait to build better relationship with people. Yeah. And for example, for me, I thought when I was young, I used to be introvert. I don't like to speak in front of a class, and I don't want to talk to people because of my nature. But then when I start to work, and I realized that I need to open up myself, and then I became introvert. But later on, I realized that I'm not. I'm neither an introvert, nor an extrovert. I'm actually an ambivert. It's in between. There's one more. So in a continuum, one extreme is actually extrovert, the other extreme is introvert. In between is ambivert. So there are times that I want to be very quiet. Okay, I need to have my me time. So I will switch to the introvert type. But there are times I need to be extrovert. For example, in a social setting, I need to network with people. Then I will so-called demonstrate that kind of a personality trait. So it's a continuum that I move about. Yeah.
So it's not binary lah. It's not black or white kind of thing. But still very much on the personality traits. Then for people who, okay lah, let's imagine someone who is self-aware enough to know that their personality sucks, but they're willing to change. What are some of the baby steps they should take in order to better improve their personality? and arrive close to or to slowly nudge towards your definition of a good personality for an MVP?
Okay, when you say personality sucks, we're looking at behaviors now, right? It's what people say. Oh, that person has a bad personality, or the personality sucks, right? It's because of the behavior of that person. So we have to self-reflect. First thing first is, do you treat people that you want, yourself to be treated? If you treat people, if you are very mean to another person, you are kind of person that make things difficult, then you are so-called, displaying the kind of behavior, and then that will actually shows people that you're not very likable. Yeah. So my advice is that be nice to people. Yeah, be nice to people. I heard over the radio, I think this morning, is that if you make things easy for people, if you make someone else day, a pleasant one, then actually your day will be pleasant as well. So that kind of put it in the sense that you want to make things pleasant and not ugly in a sense. So while doing that, right, very consciously you do that, right, that will help you to be a better person. Better in terms of like your personality will show. Oh, okay. I'm not saying that you are want to fake it out, to make it real, but you just do it out of sincerity. Yeah.
What you just shared reminded me of a quote that I read from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the wrestler.
Oh.
He often said this: it is nice to be important, but it is important to be nice. So from what I can understand here, being the nice person here definitely make a lot of difference. And I guess with this adage that he has lived by, he has become the #1 box office in Hollywood. And also, it reminded me of a story that I read. I think it is in one. I can't remember the title of the book, but it's by Malcolm Gladwell. And he compared these two individuals with very, very high IQ. One of them went on to create either the atomic bomb or hydrogen bomb, I can't remember. But the other guy, interestingly, actually got higher IQ point, but he became a farmer. And that is not because he decided to become a farmer, but he did not get any opportunities along the way. Because his personality, as I mentioned, sucks. Everywhere he go, even when he was still an undergrad, he will offend his lecturer because he feel that he is smarter than a lecturer, and will openly criticize the lecturer or make them look bad. And this is a behavior that he carried throughout his life. So from school into work, every place that he go to, he tend to step on people's toes, which eventually led him to where he is today, or maybe he was today, which basically is working as a farmer to go through what he can.
Okay, working as a farmer. So, when you say farmer and how what his character is, right, or his behavior, I think he's reaping what he sowed in the past.
Okay, good pun. and I guess the plants will not berate you for having a lousy personality, which is why he can continue doing what he can.
Yeah.
So that's on the personality part. And then moving on to the next one you mentioned earlier on, the second one is
the second was adaptability.
Adaptability. Okay, which I guess is a common theme recently, because we are having this COVID-19 situation now. 1 minute circuit breaker, 1 minute not so much of circuit breaker, then heightened alert. They keep giving different names for different situation, but it does require companies as well as individuals to change the way they operate. Just like for most people right now, not so much 1 year ago, but maybe 1.5 years ago, we probably would not be able to imagine ourselves able to operate or work effectively remotely. But right now, every one of us are forced to. But having said that, of course, that is just one aspect of things. Your adaptability would really be more towards the kind of changes within the company, perhaps new project. And again, for people out there who are self-aware, who wants to work on their adaptability skills, where should they begin, and what are some baby steps?
Well, I must say that you must take the first step they need to make is to be proactive. Take any change. Change is good. okay, generally, I'm not saying that you change to be better, to be a bad person, but change as in like, in terms of, let's say you have a change of working environment, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's good because you got to know new colleagues, the new way of doing things. And sometimes when you talk about change, right? A little bit, I mean, initially it's very uncomfortable, but you will get used to it. Okay, and then when you want to adapt to it, okay, take your time and then to adapt it, because if you do not adapt it quickly, I mean, what I'm saying, not just adapt, if you are not able to adapt to it easily, right? Then eventually you will find a very struggle. I how I relate to you, because my own personal experience when I was a executive, more than, I think, in the late 2000, right? So I, I I was being transferred from one department to another department, which is totally different skill sets. Okay, and I have to learn something new. Yeah, and I was transferred, and not because okay I wanted to. I didn't ask for it. It's because my seniors turned down that opportunity, and then I was at the lowest, of the value chain.
So kena
Then
arrow lah.
yeah, kind of error. Not so I said, hey, you want to go? So I thought, okay, this department I've done enough. Yeah, I want to learn something. So every opportunity comes to me, I find it's a good way to learn. So I move from that department. So initially I was with a department. I was doing some supervisory duties, managing some part-time insurance agents. Right. Then my boss, my CEO, actually asked me to move to his department to do things like corporate planning, the ISO 9000, ISO, I think ISO, and then service quality, that kind of stuff is a research page, which is not me back then, you see. So, but I took it as I can't turn down, right? Because my CEO wanted somebody to assist his senior manager. So I moved. So I was there, supposed to be 1 year, but I finished the project within half a year. And then an opportunity came, and then I went over to another department, which is the marketing department. But when I look back, right? Okay, when I look back, that short stint in that department doing corporate planning, a lot of research work, it helped me in my latest years when I started to research for my book or to write. Because I'm not a book smart person. I have to be very honest. Yeah, I don't really go into a lot of research, but that because of that experience, it has taught me how to do things in a manner. Yeah, so I must say that adapting sometimes when we adapt to it to a certain change, it could be a blessing in disguise. Yeah.
So the way I would see it is adaptability is somewhat like a muscle. You need to work on it. You need to gain the muscle mass so that when change comes in the future, it's easier for you to manage, easier for you to navigate lah. If you never do your bicep curl of 5 kg, 8 kg, I suddenly give you 10 kg, you should die. Right? You won't be able to lift it up. So adaptability is something that you want to look at in the form in the corporate environment, which is of course to volunteer. Well, in your case, it's gonna arrow lah, but I guess the outcome is the same. To be exposed to new stuff, and of course to take it on in the most positive manner, and hopefully you'll be able to get the best out of it.
Yep, you can say that.
Okay, cool. So moving down the list, and we have the number 3, which would be
Number three. The third one is authority. Okay. Authority doesn't mean that you need to be an authoritative person, right? When I say that the authority means that you need to establish yourself as an authority, as a thought leader, as a go-to person in your space. So in my own career, the common word that my colleagues gave me was resourcefulness. Yeah, I don't have the answer for you, but I'm able to find out the answer for you and come back to you later on.
So you're the person that they go to when they're too lazy to Google lah.
Yeah, too lazy to Google, even nowadays as well lah. So nowadays I point them whether you just Google. Okay.
By the way, there is a website called "Can you Google this for me, please?" Something like that lah. It's a tongue in cheek lah, to make fun of people who cannot Google for themselves. But sorry to interrupt. Please continue.
That's interesting. I'm going to check it out. Yeah. So you need to be the um, the go-to person. That, for example, when they think of say give examples. Oh, okay. I mean, I need to fix my email. My email client is not working well. Who can I actually help ask? In my company, to not other than the IT department. But then I look at, oh yeah, Adrian, I know. I mean, so I just go, Adrian, can you help me? So yeah, then I know first thing, Adrian's a person, and then another person wants something, about email client, and then that person will think, who should I look for? This is the thing. Oh, you should look for Adrian. So the moment when
Mm,
people say that, oh, you should look for Adrian, this you should look for Adrian, that, for example, now future of work, thinking, who would I look? Okay, Adrian, you're the person.
mm.
Yeah, I need a speaker to speak on future of work. Who do I look at? Okay, Adrian. So you must try your best to become that person. So it is the go-to person, and that's where you establish and your authority in your space. Yeah.
And for people who are early in the game, who has
Mm,
maybe they have an idea of where they want to
mm,
be in terms of authority, but they have not gotten that authority score yet. So
mm.
how do they start to better present themselves over time and gain that incremental score to arrive at a stage where, okay, when you think of something, you should go to that person.
Okay, that's a good question, Adrian. So when you do that, right? So to start off, you be very consistent. That means you keep doing that thing over a period of time. Yeah. And for example, if let's say now for me, I mean, I'm also a career coach. Okay, doing pro bono. So to my over the years, I've been sharing a lot of stuff on employability, or even like in terms of career management on social space, right? Then my friends knowingly, they know that, okay, Terence is the one that look for. He's the one. Anything about employability, look for Terence. Anything about career management, look for Terence. So until today, I still have some referral that, hey, from friends. Oh, my son is just graduated. He needs some advice. Can you give some advice? And then another friend. Okay, my colleague is at a career crossroad. He wants some career advice. Are you able to give that? Yeah. So I didn't really consciously build that, or intentionally to build that I'm a career coach, but it's just like through my own passion in sharing and advocating employability. I share certain articles. I talk about how to manage your own career stuff over the years. And then people know that, okay, maybe you should look for Terence. Yeah, so you need to start in that way. So you can start to contribute, say, articles, okay, on your social space. If you have a blog, you just write on the blog. If you can have a podcast, you can create a podcast, just share. Or sometimes nowadays, if you're using IG, you can do it, or even at TikTok as well. Yeah, so you just be very consistent in bringing up that message to your audience.
Okay. The key
Mm,
here, I guess, is the consistency of the subject lah. You
mm,
don't just talk about everything under the sky. And this is something where I can share with the audience here. When I first started writing, and I started writing during the blogspot days, that was like 2005. I understand 100 donkey years ago. But during that time, blogging was quite similar to maybe social media. When you first started, you would just write about
mm,
random stuff, what you have for lunch, those kind of things that people no longer read. But progressively over time, I started to focus on specific topic, specific genre. So I was still running a recruitment business then. So I wrote about recruitment, then wrote about career management, then entrepreneurship, so on and so forth. Even added in parenting for some reason. Then it became very rojak because there's just so many things, and I started to spin off one by one lah. So I spin off the career part onto another blog, so on and so forth. And I was left with two things to talk about: entrepreneurship and HR tech. Then I
mm,
made a conscious decision to just focus on HR tech. Firstly, because a lot of other people are much established entrepreneur. I think I will lose out to them, although it's quite silly thinking. At least from a content perspective. So I just decided to go into HR tech. And also the other key reason is HR tech is a easier keyword to score on SEO. Because if you search entrepreneur Singapore, even that was like, I don't know, so many years ago, it's very hard to push your way up to page one, number one. But HR tech, no one
mm,
was talking about it back then. So very quickly, I got onto page one, number one. And then, of course, snowball, like what you mentioned earlier on, Terence, when it comes to HR Tech Future of Work, there tends to be certain affiliation to myself, and that really helped a lot. So I guess for people out there who is looking at any form of subject, once you have nailed it down, then you may want to find some outlet, be it blogging, be it like what Terence said, podcasts or TikTok or anything, or even if you want to, you can even consider doing YouTube videos and all that, whatever works for you. So that would really try to bring up that public awareness of what you're doing, and that over time will help to build up your brand. Yeah. So I think that is one key thing that people can look at. But importantly is you have to start. In my previous role in outplacement, I shared this with everyone. And during outplacement time, I think I've spoken with at least 800 PMET who are unemployed, looking to go back to work. Guess the number of them that actually took up my challenge to actually write something on a blog? Zero. None of them. Every one of them feel that, writing very painful. I don't know how to start, don't know where to start. All the excuses, all the reasons. But ultimately, I think the way I look at it is, yes, because it is challenging, the more you should do it. Because out of the 800 people, assuming all of them are fighting for the same job, if just one person decide to rise up to the challenge and start to write something, this person will stand out already by default. Even if all you wrote is ABC expletive, I think you will have already stood out from the rest of the crowd. So for people out there, if you're looking into something like this, doesn't have to be long form, just look at something to talk about, something to write about.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Adrian. I mean, you mentioned the keyword about conscious. I think we need to make a conscious effort to do it and do it consistently. So, in fact, I have to thank you because you were the one that inspired me to become an author as well. When I met you at the authors meetup session a couple of years ago. So, I mean, the journey is worth taking. Worth taking. So, to add on to what you said is that we can actually build our so-called, the authority by writing something that we are passionate about, or a subject. And then we will, once we're interested on a certain topic, then we will find time, we will make conscious effort to find time, make time to go and know more about this subject. And then the more research that we do, the better we are. And we will write some stuff or even to create some stuff. So it's always work in progress.
So that's a pro tip Terence just shared. If you intend to write stuff and you have written a lot of stuff, then you can put it into a book. Although I believe Terence and myself can attest, it's not that simple. But having said that, it is definitely easier than starting everything from scratch. And that immediately will give you the authority over anyone else, because other people give name card, you give your own book. So it's really very, very different when it comes to perception. So, okay, moving on to number 4.
Number 4, it's very important because even though that you have number 1 to 3, I mean, if you can remember, if you have a good personality, if you have able to adapt, to changes quickly, and if you
authority.
are able to establish authority, but if you fail to do number 4, then I think it's quite hard, for you to move forward. Number 4 is a lot of people have neglected. Okay. Number 4 is visibility. Out of sight, out of mind. I'm sure you've heard of it before.
Yep.
Okay. So what I mean by visibility? So visibility, I realized that a lot of people say, okay, I'm good. I know what my skills are. As long as I work hard, then I deliver my KPI. I think it's good enough. I think that's good. And then I don't have to let other people out of my company to know how good I am, or maybe like other colleagues. Then when let's say a crisis, hits us, right? Then suddenly we're out of job. And then who knows what we're good at? Who knows us? So now, I mean, when I mentioned the visibility, it's very important because at work you need to build your visibility, okay, by taking the extra projects. Not many people are willing to do because they find that my boss pay me this much. And if you ask me to do something extra, I'm not given extra pay, I'm not going to do it. If I want to turn it down. But if you treat it as a form of a additional kind of a project to do, then you will actually heighten your visibility. For me, what I did was I was in the corporate. I joined the Toastmasters Club International to practice my part, to learn how to become a better speaker, to practice my speech, and then and we have internal events. I volunteer myself to become an MC for events, for public events. So when I present myself in front of the public, or so-called in front of the rest of my colleagues, other departments will notice Terrence Chiew. Yeah, so that's how I actually increase my visibility. Another way to increase your visibility, let's say out of work, is volunteer yourself and to serve in some non-profit organization, maybe grassroots events. So if you find time to do something that is worthwhile, giving back to the society, and that is one way to increase your visibility as well.
Okay, so there are multiple ways for you to raise your own visibility or start creating one. But I guess one of the key thing is, especially for the introverts out there, as well as some ambiverts, visibility would also mean putting yourself in the spotlight. And maybe you have to present, you have to talk, but some of us are just not very comfortable. So are there different ways for an introvert to get that visibility that may not be as discomforting as standing on the stage?
Oh, okay. I mean, there are ways to do it. Okay, first of all, let's do it two parts. The first part is, if you're an introvert and you don't feel very comfortable standing in front of your audience, well, you still can increase your visibility. One, you either contribute, say, a piece of article, you write something, but then again, there will be a time that you have to stand in front of the audience to speak. Imagine that one day you can write a piece of paper, and then your boss suddenly asks you, hey, Adrian, I'm going on leave, but I have this important meeting. Can you please represent me to do and present? The deck is here. You say no, you can't, right? You still have to do it, right? Yeah, and because you are representing your boss to deliver that. I think a lot of people have this fear, of presenting or speaking in front of the public, because it's the number one fear. But it is a good skill to have. It is a life skill. In fact, it is also a portable skill, a skill that can transfer, because it's no longer who can work hard. It's sometimes working hard. You must also be able to present well. Yeah, and presentation skills is one of the skills that I would say is evergreen. Yeah, you need to have it. Yeah, and it's the same as selling skills. Which I don't like to be doing sales. Sometimes you need to convince, or you need to be persuade. You are indirectly selling an idea. Yeah, selling your points across already. So, to do it, take baby steps. Maybe just to treat it as a sharing. Yeah. Unless you choose not to present. I mean, no, I don't want to do presentation. My work doesn't. I want to be my own boss. Okay, can be your own boss. Hello, if you become your own boss, right, you need to find clients, right? You still have to pitch, right? Yeah, you still have to come up with the presentation deck to pitch to your client. Okay, and that's presentation. Yeah. So in Hokkien, 找不可, or you can't escape from it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's quite true in today's day and age. Storytelling bit is something that a lot of role would definitely require that element of it. I think we actually talked about this during the last live session, where I mentioned about example of this financial controller that I got to know, and he was just so against presentation, just so against standing in front of the board, in front of the directors to present, that he turned down quite a number of opportunities. And the third time when the opportunity came to him again, or when that conversation came up, it wasn't about another opportunity. It was about, I think we need someone else. Because they needed the FC to have the ability to present. Even within the sphere of HR, which I'm more accustomed to, a lot of people are expected to present. And not just do typical storytelling based on gut feel, based on my sixth sense, my spider sense and all that. But it's about data-driven approach, using data to do storytelling. And these are things that, of course, I would have to say, things like analytics, numbers, and all that. If people are good in all this space, they would have become a data analyst, they would become an accountant, so on and so forth, and not have become an HR. But having said that, that is what the today's world requires. So people have to move towards that. And I guess goes back to your point one about adaptability. You know, the
Point two.
ability to, point to the ability to really adapt to all these new changes that is required for your role. And of course, with that would come the visibility part to put yourself out there. And I think that is something that I would say indirectly I've done because I enjoy writing, and then I have been doing quite a fair bit of stuff which I put publicly online, from the HR Tech Market Map to of course, even more writing, to recently podcasts, as well as videos. So all these are out there. So even when you're sleeping, people can still come across to find out more about you, to learn more about your content. And again, if your direction is so specific, over time people will see you as an expert lah, which of course goes back to the authority part. So I think the repetition is important, but importantly, it's something that people have to be comfortable with in some form or way. Like you said earlier on, you know, there are definitely different ways for people to be visible, not just specific to video presenting. If you think you can write lah, just write more lah, write better. Yeah, just write better than anyone else. Over time, that would all build up.
Yeah, if you don't want to speak in front of the crowd, never mind, it's okay. I mean, you create podcasts. You know, you say something and then you can just upload it. And so it's more like a digital journal, you know, and you can speak your thoughts. So there are many things that you can do. Yeah. But having said that, right, I mean, I want to stress a point that building visibility, it is a double-edged sword. Okay, because I've seen a lot of people that they use social media, okay, to increase their visibility by in a negative manner. And let me give you an example. For example, okay, today I had a bad day, you know, early in the morning, step in the office, my boss just, scold me for nothing, of no reason at all. You know, I hate my boss. Then you start to rant on social media. Yeah, that is a way that you build your visibility. Why? Because people will see that, oh, you know, this fellow always like to complain about his work, always like to complain about the boss. You know, everything seems to be negative. Look, if you live negativity on social media, so-called digital print, it's going to be there forever. Yeah, unless you delete the whole account and don't want to get in the space. Because nowadays employers are very smart. Sometimes they will throw the net and then do a fine, you know, whether you have actually said something that is not so positive. Yeah, something that is very detrimental. You know, you can be touchy subjects. Yeah. So if you have not, I mean, the old adage, if you have nothing good to say, just don't say. If nothing good to write, don't write. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people self-sabotage their own career, by building the visibility. So it's very different, because like LinkedIn is one positive, then on other social media like Facebook, then it's negative. Yeah.
As the saying goes, you know, you praise in public, but you scold in private, lah. So likewise, to a certain extent, positive things you can write about it. So which is why many people become depressed on social media, because you're reading other people's highlight reel and not actually aware of it, and always comparing your own life with what you're seeing on other people's profile page. So on that note, so definitely to be a bit more positive, to really showcase how you want to present yourself. And when you mention social media, I would reckon, since it's more of a professional thing, the key thing would definitely be looking at LinkedIn, where the setting is much more professional. And maybe for you, if you are in other space, and there are some other relevant social media platform, consider those as well. But again, the presentation of it has to be the right one, which makes it appealing for people to consider, hey, maybe I should reach out to this person to have a chat, to share with him or her some opportunities and see what may bring to you.
Yep.
So moving on to the last thing that you mentioned earlier on.
Okay, the last thing is traversability. From the word traverse, you know, you traverse from one point to another. I'm talking about skills portability. I think last week, was it Ellen? Was it
Ivan?
Ellen? Ivan. Oh, Ivan. Okay, how many things? Okay, Ivan. He talked about transferable skills, right? In our show. So, it's it's the same thing, and I'm going to talk about is that you need to have a set of skills that you can actually port, from one place to another. Yeah. The old adage, remember that don't be jack of all trades, master of none. That's what my teacher has always said. But nowadays, totally has changed. You need to be, preferably jack of a few trades, master of a few. Yeah. Because we are talking about the becoming a global citizen, and you need to have multiple skill sets. Yeah. If I were to use an object to represent, what I mean by portable skill. So imagine that you yourself is a piece of Swiss Army knife.
Mm.
Yeah. So each Swiss Army knife, when you just remove, there are different types of tools, right? Yeah, you can have the screwdriver, you can have the knife, you can have other things as well. So each of this tool in the Swiss Army knife represents your skill, and then you bring it along. So let's say, assuming today, I have a loosened screw, then I actually can tighten it up. If let's say I have a certain, I need to open up a bottle, then something like this. I try to make it so easily. So when I say that we need to have a transferable skills, is that you need to have a set of skills that you can transfer from one position to another, and from one place to another. You need to have technical skills and the soft skills. And soft skills are equally important. Like one of them that we talked about earlier on is presentation skills. Yeah. So some of these skills are very important. I realize that some skill sets are good to have and must have if let's say you're in a corporate. First, presentation. Number 2, negotiation. Number 3, critical thinking. Number 4, problem solving. Number 5, what else? Selling skills, communication. Yeah, these are all evergreen skills. It comes in a package you need to have, other than your technical skills. Yeah, technical skills, for example, like programming, coding, or like fixing equipment. Those are all technical skills. But the soft skills parts you need to have. Yep.
And for people who are looking into all these kind of soft skills, things like this, there has of course been a lot of studies by different companies. I think World Economic Forum being one of them, and they listed down some of the top skills that employers will be looking for, not just right now, but also in the future. And some of this will definitely jive well with what Terence has pointed out. Things like analytical thinking, innovation, active learning, problem solving, critical analysis, creativity, social influence, technology use, and technology design and programming. Quite a long list over here. Now, within the current context where we are right now, which do you think would be some of the top 1 or top 3 ones that people should really focus on, and how should they go about acquiring them?
I think if you talk about the long laundry list of skills, I must say that problem solving skill is a skill that every one of us must have. Even kids must learn problem solving. Yeah, because that actually helps us to look at things differently. Yeah, and if you are looking at work, right? Say for employer, why? First of all, I always tell my participants in the workshop, in career transition workshop, why do companies exist? Companies exist because they have a product to sell, or they have a solutions to provide, right? Or
they make money,
make money. So company exists for a reason. Make money, grow the company. Okay, but who forms the company? The people, and then who engage the people, the employers. So why employer want to engage us, want to employ us? They employ us because they have a problem to solve. They say, okay, Terence, I employ you today. I expect you to help me to solve A to Z 26 problems. Yeah, you solve the problem. Don't give me a problem. So I always tell people, if you're not a problem solver, okay, if you are not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Yeah, and then you become a problematic. so it's just pun intended again. But the thing is problem solving. Yeah, same. I'm on my own. When I'm going to look for my own clients, right? As a self-employed, also running my own business, I even have to I look for clients and then to ask them what are the problems that are you facing. Like if I can fix the problem, then we are in business. Same if you are an employee, things they pay you a fixed amount of salary. They expect you to deliver a certain projects, or maybe we call it KPIs, key performance indicators or deliverables, whatever that you said. But it is a thing they have a problem to solve. Employers got a problem. If got no problem to solve, then why do they need you, right? It makes logical sense, right? In a way. So problem solving is one key skill that I think we must have. Yeah, out of the laundry list, a couple of them.
And I think one of the pro tip that Terence may also have alluded to is to be resourceful. A lot of problems that are thrown your way, honestly, are not so unique. They are not so rocket science. And most likely someone somewhere out there already has the answers, but just deeply embedded or hidden on the internet. So you just have to find the right way to search and to really find the best keywords to derive those answers out. May not give you the complete answers on what is required, but it shouldn't deviate too far. At least you have, like the saying goes, I think this is something mentioned by either Hemingway or Ogilvy when it comes to copywriting. I cannot edit a blank copy, but I can edit a bad copy. So at least when you have a bad copy, it's easier for you to edit rather than starting from scratch, where of course you will have the writer's block, those kind of stuff. Yeah. So thank you so much for helping us deep dive into these 5 different aspects. And I just want to understand then, for people who are currently right now, perhaps in the job, and given that the fact that COVID-19 is here and will be around for quite some time, how would any of this change? Would any of this impact the 5 things that we mentioned? Are there key deviation or focus we should work on because of this uncertain climate?
That's a good question. I mean, I've thought of that as well. There's no deviation. You will still continue to build, your personal brand by being a likable person. You need to adapt to it. You need to continue to adapt. But the thing is that the rate of adaptation is much faster because COVID has actually, caught everybody's off guard, and things are going to change. Like the mode of working is going to change. So moving forward, it's going to be a lot of work from home, and then if you are managing a team, so you have to get used to managing remotely. Yeah. Then I must say that in terms of skill sets will be different. Maybe 5 years down the road, you need to know some stuff, need to analyze certain data. Yeah, but in a nutshell, the fundamentals are still there. But all you need to do is just to continue to learn new stuff and never stop learning. Yeah, and keep going because we are always work in progress. Yeah, and I always remind myself always be curious. I mean, every day is a brand new day to learn. The ABC of learning is always be curious. ABC. Yeah, it's like Adrian and myself, we are very curious about how to do podcasts, okay, just do it. We have to start somewhere, right? Yeah, because some people like what Adrian's mentioned, I've been thinking of writing a book, or maybe write a page. We'll never start. But we need to start first. We don't have to be good to start, but we just need to start first so that we can be good. Yeah. And
absolutely. The best way to learn is to do. Instead of trawling through books and blog posts and listening to podcasts to figure things out. Although I am often guilty of doing a lot of those stuff, but ultimately just have to start and learn along the way. And I think something that you also mentioned, which brought to my mind, is whichever direction, whichever kind of MVP that you wish to be for yourself. Again, not to trash the uniqueness of an individual that you are, but there are probably people who have already been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And in today's context with things like LinkedIn, it is not hard to find this group of people. You can even find people perhaps who has done the same career transition as you have, just by putting in a bit more effort in trying to find them out. And once you found them out, then what you can do, you can connect with them. Don't go straight and, of course, got job or not, buy them coffee, yeah, invite them out for, well, if you still can invite them out, assuming this post-COVID, and just to get some career advice from them. Because something that people may not realize is when they look at you, psychologically, they are seeing the younger version of themselves, which is what encouraged them to speak with you more and to show you the ropes, because during their time, they have no one to guide them. They have no mentor, no sifu, and they have to do things the hard way, which of course may have made some of them quite disgruntled about all the extra things that they have to do. So by seeing a younger version of themselves, I'm very certain people will go above and beyond to help. It's not even just necessary to be above and beyond. As long as they are willing to entertain you, you're going to get a lot of insights. And most importantly, you do not have to reinvent the wheel. So I hope with that, the audience can find some useful nuggets within our conversation here. Any parting shots that you may have for our audience, Terence, on becoming an MVP?
Parting shot. Wow, that's a good one. How do I put it? Parting shot. Still the same. Always be curious, and keep learning. That's a parting shot, because unless you choose to do nothing, but as long as you are in employment, please. I mean, I can't emphasize more. Just keep on learning, because I learned from a good friend of mine, Lily. She's blind, but she's blind since young, but she earned a university degree, yeah, and she studied, and she told me that her late grandma shared with her that people can steal away your money, your stuff, but people cannot steal away your skills and your knowledge. So that actually reminded me is to continue to build your knowledge, and always be hungry. Yeah, it doesn't matter as long as you find something that you want to learn, go learn. I mean, like podcasts, how to do it, just go to YouTube, how to do it. It's just like using this platform. Adrian and I was talking, right? So, this is something new. Okay, what is it? Then just ask Adrian, hey, what do you use? Okay, go and try. So if you have that kind of curiosity, you'll be very surprised, that sometimes you would find something new. Somehow I can't really explain to you, but like what the late Steve Jobs said, the dots will actually connect all the way back.
Yes. You cannot connect the dots forward. You can only connect the dots backwards.
Yeah. So it's all connected.
I see. Okay, cool. So I think that also help us to better understand for any individual, you have to be not just hungry for food, hungry for power, hungry for money, but you have to start off by being hungry for knowledge, hungry for insights, as well as hungry for wisdom. And that is the epitome of what you just mentioned, your ABC. Always be curious to help you bring up all this kind of stuff. To better present yourself as the most valuable professionals for people. Thank you so much, Terence, for all that. So I think we have a questions that just came in. Just give me a second while I bring it up. So this question came from one of our YouTube viewer. Thank you very much for sharing insights. Thank you so much. Now, how will you go about striking the balance between personal authenticity and diplomacy effusiveness in a traditional corporate setting that is a bit more SAF, a bit more hierarchy, So maybe, Terence, you have any thoughts on that? How can anyone balance this kind of stuff when the internal infrastructure or corporate setting may not exactly be so encouraging of people being completely authentic for a variety of reasons?
Okay, that's a good question. And what do you think, Adrian? Let me hear your thoughts.
I think, of course, depending on how long you know of, and I use, of course, SAF as an environment, since that's something that I'm familiar, and probably you are familiar as well. I think, of course, there are still ways for you to present other aspects of this MVP, remembering that it is a combination of 5 different factors. Of course, one of them is being, presenting yourself out there. But having said that, I think the key thing here is you have to be mindful and aware of what is the boundary, and so that you know where is the right place you can try to push. the envelope and where is the place where you should take a step back. So, and all these are settings that you can take reference from people who've been there for the longest time. If you're new to the organization, if you've been in the organization long enough, you probably will already know where is your OB marker and what would constitute crossing it and what would not constitute crossing it. But at the end of the day, these are all about corporate career ladder climbing. It's not about, showcasing the raw side of you, your tattoo, everything, just rip off your shirt and show people everything. It is really about showcasing what you can do at a corporate setting and maybe things that people may not be aware of. Maybe, maybe you have good photography skills, you are good in computer, you are good in even anything that is faintly related to the company. I think these are things that you can always try to plant a seed by putting the word out there through various channels, through different people, just to sound it out and see what they think. And over time, once you have planted enough seeds, people will, of course, come back to the realization that, hey, maybe Terence is the expert in this. Let's go to him and ask him more. So I don't think there has to be a sense where you have to be fearful of how this whole situation may really affect yourself. But I think the key thing here is you have to establish what you want to present and just make sure that the presentation is aligned and consistent to what you are trying to get out of the whole thing.
Yeah, I fully agree on that. I mean, my take on this is that sometimes as much as we want to be authentic, we need to look at the environment. That's for example, with a very hierarchical structure kind of corporate setting, right, might not allow us to be authentic as well, because I personally face that as well. I mean, I went from a Western, so American company to a local company, a different setting. So I was very vocal, and then I expressed my view, in my own forum. But immediately I got a lot of backlash, So I learned that so it's a different. Learn how to tone down. But then again, doesn't mean that you can't be authentic. When I say you can be authentic, is that you be your real self, and not being someone else, and not being someone else that another person wants you to be. So it brings back to the subject of what Ivan mentioned last week. Talk about the values. So it depends if are your values very aligned to the corporate values. Yeah. So that's another. Yeah. So that's another aspect. Yeah, but then again, do not lose yourself. I mean, do not lose your real self. Because sometimes you find that you are not able to progress in the company, okay, because they are suppressing so-called your creativity is being stifled, and then somebody is trying to stall, your career progress. Then you have to think, are you going to stay put? Because first thing, think back and say, okay, this thing happens to me. What can I do about it? Okay, then if you can do something about it, and if you can improve things, then okay, you can move on. If there's something that you can't do about it, can you live with it? If you live with it, okay, you can. But what is your tolerance level? There will come to a point where the threshold is being tested again. So from time to time, you need to have a lot of self checks on this. And I suggest that you can actually talk to somebody who have been there and done that. What Adrian has just mentioned, because somebody might have the same must have encountered this before.
Gone through the same thing before.
Gone through the same thing before. Yeah.
And I think people can be mindful of how suitable or unsuitable that their own characteristic or their personality is to the organization. I cannot imagine someone who is extremely creative with gigantic creative flares who would be able to work in a uniform group kind of environment, and maybe even vice versa as well. So something for you to think about. And I think it's also important to look at some other aspect of things, which we may be a bit digressing here, but as the saying goes, it's better to work for a good boss and lousy company rather than a good company and a lousy boss. So I think the support from the management side, from the reporting officer side, also play a very big part in helping you to cement the kind of authority that you want to have within the organization. And once that is cemented, of course, the support will always be there to help bring you forward. Because the enlightened boss will know by lifting the tide, you are actually rising all the boats lah. So if by lifting you up to another level, they are also indirectly lifting up themselves. So I think
Yeah.
that is something that you may want to be more mindful of, and hopefully that will be helpful in helping you to navigate your current career journey. Let's
Exactly.
look at whether we have another questions. Okay, I think we seems to. Okay, I think we don't have any more questions coming in. So again, Terence, thank you so much for making time today to help us understand more about what is MVP, not most valuable player, but most valuable professional, and the 5 things that people should do when they're in their career to help them become an MVP and to better navigate and to find the right opportunities out there. And with that, thank you so much for the audience for making time for us today. And I'd like to appeal to you to stay tuned tomorrow for more content. And if you want to hang out with us, join our Telegram group and also become a member so you can receive early releases, premium investment content, closed door discussion, and a community to learn together. To become a member, simply head over to thefinancialcoconut.com for more details. I repeat that, thefinancialcoconut.com for more details. And with that, thank you so much. My name is Adrian, signing off. Thank you so much, Terence, and take care.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you.
See ya.
Take care.